Hello and welcome to the Nothing Nothing. And in today's video we are going to be doing another record haul. In fact, on this record haul, number 18, we head south of the border with a trumpeter and his band at a casino. Meet an American woman. A local band enters the collection. A spy's second soundtrack. And we have a margarita here at his later restaurants. This and more on Record Haul 18. So as you can see, I'm on the floor today instead of my normal up here on the side here, as you can see my hand there. This is the alternate record box out instead of the other one, although the other one is technically right there. But yeah. So yes, I went record shopping again after a little while, but anyway, let's go ahead and open up the box. Of course, the trumpeter that's south of the border with his band is, of course, Herb Alpert and his Tijuana Brass, which we'll start off with right away. With south of the border, stereo copy, as you can see from one of his other albums at the time, and other sounding like groups at the time on A&M. Of course, the A in A&M is Herb Alpert. Yeah, sounding too great, but anyway. So as he was on A&M, of course, you get the the 60s and early 70s A&M logo here. This one is from 1962. Of course, I never remember the date. 63 maybe, actually. 63, 64. And then we have him again with, of course, if you were talking about him at a casino, we are talking about sounds like Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass Casino Royale, which he did the soundtrack to the non-approved Eon 1967 film, so that's what this dates from. Also with this Tijuana Brass. And yes, you are seeing that. We'll get to them in a second. Also without this? Oh no, it's out the sleeve. Do the sleeve like Going Places and Whipped Cream Miller Delights. You got this. This is the promotion for all the Tijuana Brass. In fact, including that one right there, which we just saw. I have that one there. I have that one there. And on the other side, we have the Baja Maramba Band, I think is what it's called, in movie 5. And Sergio Mendes. But normally, keep the paper, the disc in the sleeve. I must have forgotten that one. Of course, also on A&M, slightly different printing logo here, though. With the sounds like, looks like, is a big text, something a little different. Yes, this is the mono edition. They were mono and stereo at this point, still in 1967 in the States, but they were slowly fading off. And then we move it to the Four Tops. Reach out, reach out. But on Motown, of course, they were one of Motown's biggest acts. And as you can see from the front here, Reach Out, I'll Be There was their big hit here. But yeah. So anyway, this is the first Motown. Oh, I'm sorry, this is the first 60s Motown I actually own. So you get a little taste of it. It was the 60s at the time. So there's, for example, there's their Four Top second album, On Top, Live, on Broadway. This is 1967. There. The paper sleeve has promotional for all sorts of other albums that were out at the time. Mainly stuff that was on Motown, of course. Like, for example, right here, there's Mary Wells' Greatest Hits. There's the Supremes' Where'd Our Love Go? There's the original Four Tops. More hits by the Supremes. The Supremes, remember Sam Cooke. Four Tops. Supremes. More Four Tops, Supremes. I think you get the idea. And it's the same thing on the other side. Promoting Tamala, The Miracles, Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder, Marvelettes, Temptations were all on Tamala. However, the Four Tops themselves were on regular Motown, so you get to see the classic Motown logo here. Label there. And then we move on to originally 1970, but this is a reissue from 1976 of Christine McVie's first debut album, or what she was known at the time, Christine Perfect. The legendary Christine Perfect album, Christine McVie. This is the most expensive one here today. But this is the reissue. You can tell that because Seymour Stein here has a bit of writing on it. You can pause the video and read that for yourself. Here's your track listing, your credits. This is actually the first Sire records I now own. Put to the side. Okay, and then we'll just show you the Sire label. If you've seen Madonna, you might know this label quite well. Madonna's albums. She was on Sire at the time, or later on. So this was in 1969-70. And then next up we have, of course, The American Woman is, of course, the Guess Who with American Woman. American Woman, away from me. Stereo copy, of course. By this point, I don't think all records in America were made in stereo. We're on Victor here. This gatefold, we'll show flipped out. They were on RCA. You can see the credits. Of course, there's American Woman. American Woman, gonna mess with your mind. American Woman. Yeah. And they were on RCA. So this is the RCA logo at that time. This is what many people associate with Bowie, who was on RCA at that time. It looks like hair from our last episode as well. And then after the American Woman, we have Gordon Lightfoot and Sundown. His first #1 in the United States, but this is not his first album. As you can see there by that R, he was on Reprise. We'll get to see that logo with the ship in a minute. I'll just on the side. Sleeve was blank, just for information. And there you are. There's the famous ship label. Let's do both sides so you see both. That was from 1973 or 4 actually. And then next up we have Bachman Turner Overdrive's second album from 1973 as well. This is the album that famously has taking care of business every day, taking care of business. That song. And then interestingly, the printed inner sheet, as a way to promote their other bands at the time, they put this like a newspaper style thing. I'll show you both sides, and you may need to pause and read it yourself, but there's some interesting news reports, if you will, about stuff, about bands on Mercury at that time, which was actually just sold to Phonograph. So you can see down here in a second, you'll see the Phillips logo. This is stereo. So you can see the Phillips logo next to the Mercury there, which will soon become Phonogram. Then next up, we move into 1976 with Donna Summer's A Love Trilogy. Of course, I can't reach it. Great. So as you can see here, this is the first Oasis record I own now. So it's been a little while since you've seen Donna Summer. But, yeah. Last time we saw Donna Summer was Live Summer, I believe was the last time I got something of hers. Here's the Oasis label that she was on at that time. And there's the hit right there. Try me, I know we can make it. Try me, I know we can make it. I believe that's how it's spelled there. It's all written out. And the rest was just other songs of that time period. Then we move into 1977 with The Spy Who Loves Me soundtrack with Carly Simon and by Marvin Hurlich. There's the back. So of course at this time all Bond films came out on United Artists. As you can see, they were promoting all their artists on there at the time. You're going to see a few classics, like there you go. There's A Hard Day's Night, the soundtrack to A Hard Day's Night. Grateful Dead. Fiddler on the Roof. ELO there. Willie Nelson there. Kenny Rogers there. The Rocky soundtrack. And then the design United Arts was using at that time. Just like that side of the sheet, they also use a very similar design. So then we also have from the same year, one of the, basically everybody seems to own a copy and you just find it everywhere, and this is the first time I finally own it. Frampton Comes Alive. Now for the sound just a second, I just want to check the date. 1976. Yeah, well, okay, so this is actually, I had them out of order. Okay, give me 1 second and I'll unflatten this so you can see the whole thing. So there's the whole thing on the outside. And if I flip it over carefully, of course that's what's going to happen. And then internally there's also, it's the gatefold. Peter Frampton's Comes Alive is a 2-disc album. I have no paper receipts released, but he was on A&M at that time. This is the later A&M. They've seen my later Carpenters, Styx, so on. This is the album that famously has the live version of Baby, I Know Your Way. Just so you have the idea. It's over. And then, of course, if we're going to get a margarita from this guy's restaurants, we need to visit Margaritaville. This is Jimmy Buffett's Changes in Latitudes, Changes in Attitudes. There's a Premium Plus. This is a reissue, but it's the original album. Of course, if we're going to talk about going to Margaritaville, there it is, Margaritaville. Well, there's 2 paper sleeves in here for some reason. Someone must have left it, but we'll pull out the original. Oh, we'll do the album first. He was on MCA at this point. And of course, there's Margaritaville. And then for some other reason, in my version here, there was this paper sheet. Now, I think this is to Infinity Records. If you remember my Robert Holmes, Partners in Crime, he was on that label. It looks like that label to me. I don't know why that was in here. Maybe extra, perhaps. And then also we move back into 1978 with Bob Seger and his Silver Bullet Band with Stranger in Town. There were 3 hits off this. The first one we got there is We Ain't Got Tonight. Or We've Got Tonight, sorry. Hollywood Nights, Still the Same. And then later on, but later classic after Risky Business, Old Time Rock and Roll. Just take those old records on the shelf. No paper sleeve, but here's the custom Bob Seger label for the time. And then we move on to the local band, Michael Stanley Band, as it was known, with Heartland. This is from 1980. This will actually tell you it's a very local thing. Record City, if you look at that thing very closely, that's Cleveland. So let's get back to the album. You can see there's still some plastic wrap on it. There is Michael Stanley himself. He's unfortunately no longer with us. Died a couple years ago now, but I finally own this album of his. We'll do the disc first. They were on EMI America at that time. Two of the biggest hits are on the other side, of course. Where are they? So number 2 there is Lover, and then the other one is He Can't Love You. One of which was on MTV's first day. I think it's He Can't Love You. It was number 30 something. I forget the original. And here's the inner sheet. It's ripped out. That's why the disc was out of it. But you can see there's some lyrics. And it's the same on the other side as well, with the picture of the band there at the time. This local area where I'm from misses him greatly and wishes he was still with us. And then we move on further on into 1980 with Diana Ross's Diana album. I believe this song does the same thing, yeah, with Peter Frampton. There's the track listing. So, give me one more. Oh, hold on, let me shoot this first. Give me one more second. And for the look, here you are. That is my leg. Get out of the way, leg, and then we'll flip it over. We have the same on the inside. And no, that is original to the album there. That is not a later signature that she signed herself. And of course, at this date, she was still in Motown. So we'll look at the Motown label real quick. I'm losing light here. Great. And then we'll look at the paper sleeve real quick just to make sure it wasn't anything special. Yep. Of course, there was something special on it. There's the Diana as like on the front cover. And on this side, we got our credits and track listing and all that. And then we move on to 1983 with Asia's Alpha. As you may know, last time we had got Asia, they had their first album, Asia. I think it was Asia. And then down here you can see we have the where is it? There it is. My film's right over it. Manufactured by Columbia House. So yes, this is a Columbia House copy edition of this album. We'll just do the disc first. They were on Geffen, as like the last one. Paper sleeve, I believe it was custom, yep. We got your band members here, your classic band member shot. There's the Asia logo. And on that side we have the lyrics. The big hit off this album was Don't Cry. It was almost just as popular as Heat of the Moment was, actually. And then from 1985, I'm actually going to check this. We'll take this in a second, make sure I have the date right, is Phil Collins' No Jacket Required. $1985, I was right. And this is the only one where we get to talk about this today, but the barcode, if you have the Discogs mobile app, you can scan this, and if you can find the copy variations, in this case, this pulls up like everything that's in the US, so you just need to know this is what it's not a promo and stuff. So, of course, big hits. Of course, there's Sister Studio. And then One More Night. And then I think Don't Lose My Number and Doesn't Anybody Stay Home Anymore were also hits. Now, as you can see from the back there when you saw that he's on Atlantic. Give me a minute again. So we have a photo of him in like a recording studio or like in a 50s set. And on this side we have credits, it looks like. Yes, we have credits. Jeez, it's falling out. As you probably saw, he was on Atlantic, so you're going to get the classic Atlantic logo labels. Nice and quick. And that is that. I thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again on whenever Record Hall 19 is, or whatever my next video will be.